All right, welcome to another New Way Growth Live. We are talking basics on SEO for business, and we have Jim, the lead specialist on SEO guru, whatever you want to
Hello.
call him. We call him other things, but guru is the best one. So we're going to do a Q&A style question around SEO with things that have cropped up in conversations that both me and Luke have been having recently. And
Mhm.
just some of the basic things around SEO. So the first one for me is the benefit of a descriptive URL in
Mhm.
creating a blog page, web page, whatever you're doing. So that's the first question for me.
Okay. Yeah, it needs to be descriptive, and if you're doing a blog post, if you've got a question that you're going to be answering, I'll definitely try and use that as the URL. If it's a service or a product, the same there. If it's your homepage, now just stick to what you've got as your homepage and leave it nice and neat there for your branding. Basically, what Google's going to do then is be looking at that straight away. The first thing it's going to look at when it's crawling through sites and trying to answer someone's search is what's in that URL. And if you're already describing what's going to be on the page for it, it's going to love it. So yeah, don't make it too long. Maybe about 55 characters or so, if possible. But yeah, try and make it descriptive. But try and look out for typos as well. I've just spent a little, well, at least a day with a client having to rearrange the typos that she'd accidentally put in one of her URLs, and then having to think where the links were coming from that were actually coming to that page as well. Because straight away, when you change the URL, all those links are going to go right 404 errors, and then Google's going to hate every single second of that. So I had to go all through the links as well. So that was a lovely day of tracing steps and going down rabbit holes and God knows what. So yeah, try and look out for the typos as well, because obviously Google will look at the description and think, well, what does that even mean? If it isn't spelled right, it's not going to know what the hell's going on there. But
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
definitely have something descriptive.
and are we best to have the keyword in that URL line as well? And does it
Yeah.
matter on the position of where you try and get that keyword within that
No,
URL?
I think Google's all about semantics now. So really, you need to be just making it sound natural to Google, and
Yeah.
then it will recognise what you've put as the URL as being the question that's below, if it's a blog post or the actual product. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Other parts of Meta and stuff like that, maybe it helps, but not with the actual URL description. No.
Superb. Luke?
Okay. Yeah, I suppose the next thing to go to, Jim, in terms of logical steps. So we've gone from top of the page, the link people are going to see, the link Google are going to track. What about the actual body of text and content? What are your sort of overall ideas? Because SEO, people talk about content optimization all the time, but what does that realistically mean, and how can people start to do that on their site without spending thousands of pounds on SEO? And there's probably some quick fixes they can probably make, I presume.
Um, there is the number of clients I've spoke to. I've mentioned the word blog, and they either glaze over or they look like they're going to run for the door. And then I mentioned the word newsletter. Oh yeah, we do those. We do those all the time. We're saying, right, grab your last newsletter, break up the text. Don't just have it as a big wall of text. Don't send people to sleep. Add some images, add some links in there as well. Break up the text, maybe a couple of paragraphs at a time, and put in some nice headers as well. Use your one H1 header, which is the largest size of header. Google loves that because then it knows what the main content's going to be about. And then you can sprinkle it with some H2s, not too many, but then H3s and H4s doesn't matter so much. And yeah, you've already got yourself a blog post there. And the same with your main pages, really. Another client, his homepage looked a little bit boring the other day. I was going on to another blog post doing some SEO for him. I found a video that his brother-in-law had done, and it was really good. It was a really good video. The music was a bit cheesy, but the actual video was great. So went to the web developer, said, would it be, and also asked the client first, obviously, for the permission. Can we put the video on the homepage in the header? Yeah, no problem, done. And he's already getting more engagement. Not everyone wants to read about the company. People want to see what you're doing, especially in manufacturing. Now, what is that machinery going to do, and how it can help their company as well.
I'm glad you mentioned manufacturing there because we've had this conversation, all of us, before. One of the big don'ts, if you've got an article, don't put it on a PDF and put it on as a blog because there's no benefit whatsoever.
No. Google's clever, but it can't. It just sees that as an image, or it just sees that as an actual document, and it will rank you up for putting documents on there, but it won't see what it's about at all. It really is a waste of time. Yeah, I know it might be a pain, but then again, at the end of the day, if you create that PDF, you've got that text that you created the PDF with. All you got to do is just transfer that onto the actual web page, and then it can read it. Then Google can see what it's all about. Then.
Now, I suppose, and we've got some questions here as we put in there, but I'm going to come down to one of the bottom ones. Is from a best practice point of view that we're talking about blogs, italics and bold. Does that make a difference with when Google trawls the page to see these particular emphasis on keywords that you've done with italics or bold, or does it make not one jot of difference?
I'll be careful with italics because, as I say, Google's getting quite clever, and also there's a page experience algorithm going on at the moment. It wants to give people a great experience, and if you're putting a load of italics in there, it might confuse the readers. Well, is that a publication on about? Is that the name of a company you're talking about in the middle of that bit of text? I don't get it. So I wouldn't bother with the italics, but a little, maybe 3 or 4 times, if there's a keyword in there as well, and it's a sentence that's kind of describing what you're on about, or describing a great bit of what you're doing within your company, or whatever's going on in news, whatever, I'd put that in bold. It's been recognised through a lot of SEO companies and agencies that is being found by Google, and that's actually, it says to itself, okay, that's pretty important, and it's answering the question, and it's giving value. So yeah, so bold, yeah. Italics, I'd say maybe not.
Okay. One other question before I hand over to Luke, because I know Luke's got a question, is you spoke about links. Now, within the blog, I've always kept that link within the web page, so it knows sort of like from a point of view that what you're talking about here is still relevant on another web page within your whole sort of like web hub and architecture. Mm-hmm. So therefore it makes the authority of the web page better as well, because it knows that it's linking to different content within this Absolutely. One website. Yeah, so that is a benefit. Luke, sorry mate, has he muted himself?
Oh. You're on mute, mate.
I'm on mute, mate. Of course, do you know what it is? I've got builders in at home, and I'm really trying to keep the noise down for everyone watching. But it's classic. You think after 2 years of lockdown, you'd know when you're on mute or not. It's a weird one. This one. Went to an event on Monday. Really good event, and I'd never heard this before, and I wanted to bring it up with you because I've heard contrasting things after reading up on it, whether this works or not. So, main point is right. So, for example, the New Way Growth website. Okay. Say, for example, I own my domain of Luke Stokes, right? lukestokes.co.uk, lukestokes.com. And I send a redirect to the New Way Growth website because I want people who are searching for me to go and view New Way Growth and view the stuff that we do at New Way Growth, or whether it's my own business or whatever it is, right? Does that have a positive or negative effect on the SEO of your main site? So if I then redirect people from lukestokes.co.uk to New Way Growth, and the New Way Growth website, does that have a bad effect on the SEO of the main site, or does that actually help the SEO of the main site?
I think it's kind of a neither here or there really with it. As long as what you've got to watch obviously is when you're doing the redirects, you've got a lot of I was previously saying about the changing the URL, taking those typos out for that customer. You've got to watch what's linking to it. You've got to think about what else. You've got to think of what's mapped out on your website. If you start changing links about and you start getting the 404 errors, it's Google's going to hate that. I think it will. Yeah, I think it could benefit as long as you got it as a 301 error, and that 301 error, you can do that through Yoast in WordPress, and that's saying it's a set in stone. We are going here. This is happening, sort of thing. 302 errors are more about if you say you're doing some maintenance on your website and you want to just redirect people to a little bit of a different area, or one that you've just put specifically together while you're making the maintenance. That's like a temporary one, but you must change those back, otherwise Google's like, what's going on? Is this a proper redirect or what? It's all a bit flaky. I don't know what's going on here. So for me, as long as you're careful with what you've got, that you've covered the 404s, then you should be fine. And I can't see it hurting it, but I can't see it really bolstering rankings at all. Really, yeah.
Okay. Now, question on this way though. And I was because me and Luke were talking about this, and I thought, in actual fact, what might be better. And I'm not positive on this because you're the expert on this one, is most domains come with a one-page free website, don't they? Most of them. If you buy a domain, you say. So I would have, which I have done, create a one-page that is adampayne.me, create a one-pager that then links to, within that text, back to New Way Growth, back to or the other businesses, because doesn't that create a backlink authority?
Yeah, it does. You've got to be really careful with those so that you don't start to harvest links, obviously, because Google absolutely hates that. But it'll see it as a landing page, which is absolutely fine. What we'd do there, use it as a landing page. Don't put a load of different navigation on it. Use it as a funnel. To where you want the people to go. So they're not just clicking off somewhere else. You're actually directing them and getting what you want from that page. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And and Google does like that. If it sees a funnel coming in, it's like your website's the hub, and there's all these spokes going off it, and those can be part of the spokes makeup of it all.
Yeah, that's where I thought it. I thought it might be better than actually redirecting your name to the website, but actually doing a little bit doing a bio on yourself. And by the way, here's the business link. Click through, and you've got that benefit of that backlink style,
absolutely,
which helps with the ranking side.
Absolutely.
Anything else from you, Luke, around that? Because we were talking around that. I can't remember.
I guess Jim, just again, final one from me. Really, just a generic question on SEO. People talk about it as a long-term strategy, right? But obviously, talking to a client, they want to get to the end goal as quickly as possible. So from your experience of implementing SEO strategies that are over a period of months and gradual progress, what are the sort of quick wins that people can get, or processes that you put in place where you can see a reasonably quick increase in traffic over a period of, let's say, 2-3 months?
Every time for me, it's niches. Don't just go in there knocking your head against a brick wall. Think about what makes your company and yourself, an individual, and what you're doing above and beyond those other competitors to help your company, your company be more successful, and what people, what customers love about that. And a real quick win is just to type in those as keywords into Google, see what it comes up with the autocomplete, and go there. Just go and see what the other rankings are going on there. If there's loads of people talking about that special thing that you're doing, then okay, that's probably a no, probably not worth going for. If there's not many people, you've really specialised down on what you're saying in Google. If there's not many people answering that, there's a good chance that's a niche to go with. And I would start to use that as a keyword, because if you're answering that question for people, they're going to start coming to you, and you're going to start ranking up early for that. A great example of that is the HippoServe guy, Jason. We chatted for a few weeks, and he was like, "How do I beat GoDaddy? How do I get on the same page as them?" And I was literally just watching the telly, and GoDaddy came on it, and he said 99p domains, and I think a light bulb actually appeared above my head, because it's like, oh my god, yeah, Jason does that. Right then, ran upstairs, right then, and I did it right there and then, put it on his page, and within 2 weeks, he's now on page 1 with GoDaddy and Ionos for 99p domains.
Super.
So a real quick win. So if you can think of those niches that makes you different, it can work for you, even against the big boys.
Traffic. Niches with traffic.
Yeah.
Because then that stems in with coming back into the pay-per-click with Luke and stuff like that, and targeting the keywords. So the strategy works together. That's the way to go. Now I'm going to come back to blogs, because this was a question that with a gentleman yesterday, where somebody had told him, and I can't remember whether it was a digital marketer or not, somebody had told him to actually, and I personally think this is wrong, to post his blog on Google My Business, and then take people from there to his website, I think it was, and it would rank higher. Now I think it's the other way round, because what you want is people going to the hub of your website, not necessarily Google My Business. And what's your thoughts?
Well, for me, I don't know how you feel about it, Luke. It really, Google My Business, it's all about the local SEO. If you want to be found UK wide, and then you're just putting your blog posts on local SEO, you're not going to be found UK wide. It's as simple as that, really. And also, I'm pretty sure on a lot of the stuff on Google My Business, there's a character count. Well, if you've got a 2,000 word blog post, I've got this brilliant, I've spent days doing this and I love it. And then it said, 250 characters at most. It's like, well, you can't even get it on there anyway. So what I would suggest personally, and what I do myself and for clients, is doing an excerpt from the blog post, put that on your Google My Business, and then let that link over. There's usually a learn more button or learn about button or something like that. They click that, they end up on your blog post, and they've got all the information they need about what they want to know. And you've got a backlink there straight away, great backlink. It's all to do with Google. Google loves anything. If you're messing with Google, it loves it. So it's going to rank you even higher for that. So, yeah, I don't know about yourself, Luke, but that does seem a bit of a strange one to me, Adam.
Yeah, I thought it was strange.
My point would have been straight away on the character limits. Like you said, an 800-word blog post, without checking it in front of me now, I presume was going to be too many characters for a Google My Business post. Those sorts of posts get shown on your profile as someone's, triggering a keyword, if someone's triggering your profile based on your industry or your service or whatever, and they're short snippets that will appear on a profile. The profile comes on the right-hand side of the screen or on the maps. There's not enough room on that profile screen to show off full 800-word blog. You want to get in there, and often on Google My Business, actually, it's only the first, say, 250 characters that get really searched and looked at by Google anyway. So an 800-word blog post, you're probably going to get 50 words in, and then Google's going to stop reading it substantially, And then the other thing for me is exactly what you said, Jim. Blog posts should be used as a sort of repurposing that as different forms of content once you've done it, as we've talked about on here loads of times. So an 800-word blog post, you could probably get 8 posts on social media, for example, out of an 800-word blog post. Just like you could probably get 8 posts on Google My Business over a period of a couple of weeks, maybe a month to a week on there about different areas that you talked about in the blogs out as posts. So I think, number one, I don't think it's practically feasible anyway. But number two, I don't think it's a good use of the content that you spent time creating. I think there's better uses of it.
I think it's bloody nuts. I think it's absolutely bloody nuts to do it because, for exactly as you both said there, you want to repurpose that content. It's an asset, so you want to repurpose that content as much as you can, and you do it in different distribution channels. And the other side of it is that you cannot in a blog on your web page. We come back to the customer value journey, and what we're after them taking is a further step in the customer value journey. You can't do that on Google My Business. You do it on your website because you're constructing it and you're building it, so you can have the next step or an advert or something like that, or a download link and things like that. Whereas Google, you're limited, and again, you're limited on reference. So I would do it exactly as you said it, an extract back through because it's creating that backlink, and I think Luke, I think I think you are restricted. I think it's so restricted on that side. It's not something I do. I do exactly that because like this thing, it'll create a blog, it'll create a video, it'll create snippets from videos and everything, and you just repurpose it as an asset. So yeah, I thought it was nuts personally, but that was just me.
I agree.
And I said to her, I think you're better off doing it extract and link back because you want the main point of your traffic going to your website. That's where we want it pointing to.
That's it.
Because we want to shift the next step. Anything else, Luke? I think we've covered everything really from a basics point of view. Meta descriptions, like when we put them on the page, when you click the page and you see it on there. Now, from what I understand, they're not generally SEO, but they are absolutely critical for getting somebody to actually click that link. So as the link has come into Google My Business, you want to make that quite persuasive in getting people to link that through. But I wasn't. I from the discussions I'd have and the research I'd done, it's not generally sort of like an SEO ranking thing, is it? The meta description, but it is there to make sure that you can click, make sure you drive the click. But that was a question I was going to ask.
From my point of view, and what I always kind of stick to is that the main keyword I want on that page, I will try and start off the meta description with that keyword. I still do think there is an SEO kind of signal going on there.
Okay.
Some people do dispute it, but personally, I do see that. And also, I try and get that to match with the page title as well. Have that keyword starting the page title as well. It's all helpful for Google. Then it's like, no, right, then this is about this, and there's descriptions about this as well. But then you're absolutely right. After that little bit of the keyword, you've got to try and sell it as best you can. You've got, say, 160 characters to try and sell it in, because it's going to end up as that paragraph that goes below the actual link that you see in the search results. So yeah, you've got to have your selling hat on then, and and do your best. Yeah, absolutely.
And that comes back to what we've always said is that congruency. If you've got the keyword in the relevant places and Google sees that congruency through, won't harm you at all. Not at all. Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us, and that's the end of this session on SEO Basics. Thank you, Jim, Luke, and we will see you next time.
See you soon.
Thank you.